According to Moore's law, computers double their speed and capacity every couple of years. So they're getting faster, smarter, smaller,
That's
better.
pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm. Humans don't.
Yeah, what's that about?
What's that about?
But there's the potential for it.
Well, that's what you do.
Yeah, think about a baby and how much they develop in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And technically, you can do that for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, what I have seen is that when you work with a company, the company more than doubles its intelligence, its speed, its capacity every 2 years. In fact, every 2 or 3 months, it doubles. Let's say how people think, not what people think. That's always the big topic on the internet and in books and universities. But how do people think?
Yeah, the process is immensely important.
Is immensely important. Critical thinking is an outgrowth of the Socratic method.
Which has been around for a while.
It's around 2,400 years or something. A couple of thousand years ago.
Give or take, right?
But it is still the predominant method in learning systems of all sorts. I mean, not to pick on your native German culture.
I know you like to do that, so go for it.
I do. They have taken critical thinking to immeasurable levels.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of a specialty, isn't it?
Yeah. So they're using a 2,000-year-old how or technology or way of thinking and applying it in a world that has really accelerated through all the different connections that people make now on the internet. Oh, Socrates, when he wasn't cruising the Parthenon for for his own pleasures, he reasoned with people. And essentially the upshot of every conversation, every dialogue was how he was right and they were wrong. And as has occurred with all such ideologies and theologies, that can get you into trouble. That can get you killed. And it did. But Plato, he wrote down in Greek. By the way, I'm not fluent, but I read ancient Greek. And I love Plato and I love Socrates. But critical thinking was good for its day. It brought mankind out of a world of superstition and combative, murderous religions, all demanding that people think in a certain way. And suddenly here's this way of looking at things in a fresh way to see, what do you see? What can you realize about this? And it was brilliant. I mean, it's still predominant in law schools, where it is both used and abused to get everybody to think like a lawyer, and to incriminate. You're either guilty or you're not guilty, but nobody's innocent. And in philosophy courses at Oxford and so on, it's very popular, but it's a professor who asks questions, and then essentially whatever the student says, he more or less mocks them condescendingly with the idea that they would come up with their own view. It doesn't work that well. Just due to human nature, our tendency to need to dominate, to evolve our species, it creeps in. That tendency creeps in, and it becomes debate, means beat down, discussion, rhymes with percussion. And it's a form of disagreement that gets you to look at a thing from many different angles. Brilliant for as things were 2,400 years ago. But here's what Socrates didn't have that you do. And it's why the sage method is the necessary and essential complement, other side of the coin of the Socratic method. It's one thing, it's receptive. It's not making a point. It's seeing not how the others are wrong, but how everyone has something. I hear you say it all the time. Well, it's got something, you know.
Yeah, for me, everything has something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just say that.
I know.
I can look at everything from 10 different perspectives, and they all have something for me. Yeah, it's not that I agree with it, but it just is like, yep, I can see it from that perspective, how that would make sense. Yeah.
Which is a receptive, or in Asian philosophy, they would say a receptive or yin quality, which is the complement of the Socratic critical method. It's the creative method. Yeah.
Which is where you shine.
Well, I didn't until I started working with you.
Nah.
What's true is I brought some music theory and a little bit of mathematics, and I had a few advantages that Socrates didn't have. When I got into my doctoral program, they had just bought a video recording machine. It was a monster. Huge, big banks of, you plug in these VHS cassettes and you could record. And so I could then record a dialogue, record a session, listen back, watch the people, observe it together with professors and other students and with the clients themselves. And we could notice little things when their faces lit up, when their face said one thing and their voice said another. And Socrates didn't have that. And we were able to create a tremendous amount of consistency and feedback, which he didn't have access to. And also we had a whole bank of videos at the time. Carl Jung on the madness of mankind, Gregory Bateson on double-bind theory, systems thinking, which had infiltrated even the field of psychology by that time. So thousands of years of knowledge building up until it showed up right there on the video screen in front of me. And so I made a spectrum of all the different stages and frequencies of communication. Scientific American just did a quite nice article about how brain waves synchronize, but so do heart waves, so do waves of passion, so do societies. I mean, humans synchronize. When you have the ability to capture those voices and those faces on the screen, boy, you have a tool there that old Socrates didn't have access to that. You know? And after years of study and working with the head of the APA and all these great scientific minds, I was actually more right. Nobody else was wrong. I was just more right than everybody else.
How innovative.
Right? So, yeah, it's true. I deepened and broadened the field and created thousands of different new ways of looking at things together, collaborating. It was a very useful tool. Also helped a lot of companies earn a lot of billions of dollars. It was very effective. And I was right. until I met you. Then I was right, but there was a small problem. So was everyone else.
Where's the problem?
I think you're looking at them. there's wisdom in receptive, or you could say feminine, for example. If you think about the men are typically baritone or tenor, and women are alto and soprano, and they carry the melody and the harmony, and men carry the root tones. And looking at it from a feminine perspective, women and men are not really the same.
Really?
It comes as a shock, I understand.
This is the first time I've ever heard that.
My body will never deliver a baby. Your body knows things that mine doesn't. My body can take a punch, and yours can't. Yours can't.
Right. That's for sure.
I can get down on the mat with the guy, and I can go head to head with him.
And I can watch and clap.
And laugh and encourage and be amused and be amazed. And so then, look what you've done to my song. Look what you've done to my work. You expanded it exponentially by, let's say, hearing a ring of truth in every sound, in every tone, in every conversation, in every dialogue that people have. What it reminds me of, I remember when my kids were born, how patient my partner was with the little babies, so that when they would be crying and you're up in the night, you're trying to figure out where's the pain, what's the problem. You ask them and they just won't tell you anything. And so you're sticking little blue tubes in everywhere and squeezing things in and out and trying to get a communication going. That's very deep and profound and very, very, very receptive. And I was amazed how receptive their mother was, and how infinitely patient she was with them. They could do no wrong until they learned to talk and discovered the Socratic method. At which point they immediately became critics. You handle everybody like that. I don't know how you see or what you feel or what you're sensitive to, but I'm always amazed at the depth of your listening. Lee Steinberg, the real Jerry Maguire, is the man who listens deeper than any other man that I've ever met. He has a deep and profound attentiveness. He listens with his whole attention. Okay? It's still not the same. He has an agenda.
Yeah.
You don't have an agenda.
No, I don't.
The curiosity and okay, there's a baby that's crying. There's a company that's bleeding money. There's a marriage that's out of whack or something like that. And I just see your curiosity begin to pick up and your interest begin to deepen, and you synchronize with the people very quickly. And they begin to speak to you and to each other in completely different tones. Very musical, very beautiful thing. And from that, I learned to start my sentences with, when I speak with you, well, I'm probably wrong, but...
Yeah, I've heard you say that before, yeah.
And as it turns out, I probably am, and usually am. But you put things together in a way that takes out the fight. Instead of that kind of male macho. Now, by the way, businessmen love that about me, that I come in.
I know. They get so excited about it.
Oh, man, I drop my head, lower the horns, and we go at it. And we do love it.
It's like if they don't get that, they're not happy. They want that intensity.
To a point. And then what they want is friendship and intimacy and honesty and things that me and Socrates never really worried much about.
Well, as always, is this and this, right?
Well, that's right, exactly right. If you look at the yin yang symbol on the cover of your book, your relationship book, men are portrayed as fire with a little drop of water in the middle, and women are portrayed as water with a little drop of fire in the middle. And this yin yang thing makes up a whole, makes up a completion, a cycle, a circuit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you have been able to do with video. Socrates didn't have computers. He couldn't run fractal geometry to study linguistic patterns in organizations. He didn't have those kinds of tools available.
Right.
I don't know if he would have wanted them. I know I didn't. It's just almost constant. I say, well, I said, and you go, no, 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 no. And you play it back for me. You don't make me wrong. You make me right. And you enhance the accuracy and the creativity of what I'm doing. I make way fewer errors, as do all the leaders that you work with. So in addition to standing on the shoulders of giants, as the saying goes, Carl Jung, back to Wundt, the guy who invented experimental psychology, you are standing on the shoulders of great thinkers for thousands of years, and yet from the feminine perspective, which is as concerned with wisdom as with knowledge, you bring up a more complete way of looking at things. So very often people do very innovative things. The most popular film right now is the invention of the atomic bomb. So Einstein was brilliant, and he was right, and now we have atomic weapons. Your approach disarms people. There's no way to use the sage method and forge it into a weapon. It just nurtures, and things grow in harmony. You get instead of an ecosystem, you get an ecosystem. Now, I don't know. I know you had the very highest math scores that anybody can score, and the highest music scores that are possible in the German and French school systems. But I don't know how you see what you see. I could have never come up with something like that. I don't know that a man could. There's just something about having a thinking body that knows how to create babies if it would like, or to nurture things, to put things together, to protect everyone, to end costly conflicts that plague organizations and countries. It isn't like you invented it. It's just like you arrived with it or something.
I definitely did not learn it in school, that's for sure. It's not something someone taught. It was kind of inside of me, I think.
No. I recall our first sort of very long conversation, our first long dialogue driving through Italy, right? Visiting beautiful cities, Venice and so on. And you kept pestering me with these questions.
I wasn't pestering.
Yeah,
I was just asking.
Pestering day after day.
Okay, there were a lot of questions.
After day. And not in any sense judging what I saw, but then being not complimentary, but complementary, synchronizing with it, and helping me to see it from both sides, if you will. and from many, many, many different angles. Now, it's a matter of the times. It's not that, oh, you're smarter than Socrates or whatever.
No.
Who knows, right? But that the times and the technology and the enormous amount of connectivity that we get with the internet, plus the fact that you're going from one country to another, one company to another, and working through things with people, hearing them out in a way that for the first time they can also hear each other. And suddenly things that they've been wrestling with and their barriers to innovation dissolve. And what seemed impossible becomes inevitable. It's a beautiful thing to watch.